so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. So we continue with our assessment of the second year of President Bola Tinubu in office. So a lot of the things, and I said it here on the program, that you can only judge the president or anyone in government based on what they said they would do. The manifesto, that is the Bible in going into an election upon which anyone will judge them by. What are the manifestos of President Bola Tinubu, as we've shown you on this program? What he said he would do, the things he promised Nigerians. But the question here is, 2 years after being sworn in, has he delivered on those promises? First and foremost, you know what happened today at the Lekki seaport area of Lagos, where the president commissioned some sections of the roads in that area. And a lot of criticism, of course, on the commissioning of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, where about 30-something kilometers of a portion of the over 700 kilometers of road was commissioned by the president. And those critics were saying, look, how can you commission 30 kilometers out of over 700 kilometers? Those would say it is unheard of. But, well, it is part of the delivery of this government. Let's get to hear from a former presidential candidate in the 2019 election and former national chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Chief John Peter Ameh. He's live for us here in Abuja, so thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
2 years of Bola Tinubu, in summary, how would you describe it?
For me, it has been very disappointing. That just to state the obvious fact, because for the first 1 year, the president was nowhere to be found. He was spending most of his time in France and in UK. And when it eventually settled down, he took the second part of that same year to try to settle himself in office by buying luxurious items like the yacht, refurnishing the presidential villa, buying kitchen utensils and vehicles for National Assembly and for himself, and then buying private jet for himself. These are the things he did in the early stage of his presidency. It wasn't about concern on how to make sure that the life becomes more bearable and more comfortable, the economy, become more. And there were a lot of hasty conclusion and hasty decision taking that were not properly planned, that were not properly organized or coordinated. Because one of the things that led us where we are today is the unplanned, unscheduled, unorganized removal of fuel subsidy. Because people don't understand that one thing can actually destroy an economy. Because if you remove subsidy without a plan, because we've taught in school that, oh, you want to have policy. What are your plans for the policy? How do you want to execute the policies? And what do you think the impact of that policy will be on the general populace that you are governing over? And the president stood, hurriedly, hastily removed fuel subsidy without such plans. And to cushion the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy, because we're depending on the subsidy regime, and there was corruption in that subsidy regime. The president never talked about it and went straight to remove it. And then you remember that same day, transporters increased their transportation fare by over 300%. Filling station increased for sales price. So the life became so harder. When you're in government, you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about those you are governing. The life became so harder for working Nigerians, whether in the private sector, the unorganized sector, or the underemployed, those who are underemployed, and those who are not employed at all. Because transportation, so much investment in transportation that we don't have, affects the daily life of the people. Because you talk about goods and services. If you call for a plumber now and his transportation increase, he has to increase how much he will charge you. If you call for, you are moving your tomato from Jos to Lagos, if that cost of transportation increase, you also increase the cost of selling the tomatoes. So the president never took that into never factored that into any of his policy implementation.
Did he have any option?
And caused so much confusion.
Did he have any option other than removing the subsidy?
Yeah, removing the subsidy with plans. Probably like, oh, let me learn from the past experience. Can we provide, buses? Talk to Innocent Motors, talk to Nord Motors, all these other motors, and provide buses that that will cushion the effect of whatever transporters intend to do to take advantage of the EC removal, so that Nigerians won't suffer from the high cost of goods and services. So those were not done. And let me tell you, today Nigerians have not recovered. Nigerians are still suffering. So we can't look at all the decisions that the president have taken. Look, you can just look at it. Fuel was at 197. Today you're buying fuel at 88. We thank God that Dangote had the courage to invest in that refinery project long before the APC came into power, because that project started under Goodluck Jonathan. If Dangote had not had the courage to do that, and this certain decision was taken, maybe most of us would be in Ghana or Benin Republic today. So we must commend Dangote and his refinery for helping us to actually survive this this disaster of a policy, because there's nothing you can call it, but Nigerians are suffering.
If you look at it, technically speaking, by exfusion of time and by the PIA, subsidy would have been gone, because in fact in the budget of 2023, by the mid-year, by July, there wouldn't have been any provision, budgetary allocation for subsidy. I mean, isn't a matter of time anyways that would have gone?
Yes,
2 months after the president had gotten into office.
The PIA was to encourage local refineries to spring up and then allow them to survive. And look at the investment they have made in their own refineries, both in Port Harcourt, Kaduna, on that none of all those investments have gone to waste. The president have not talked about, how to set up a committee to look at the mismanagement of those resources, and those who were responsible for trying to put that back upstream to be able to generate more, energy for Nigerians to travel around. So even if the PIA had given provisions that by June or so, or July, that subsidy would have gone, the president still have time. Even with 1 month, the president could set up, sit down with professionals and set up a way that this effect will not be a rush effect that would, drive all of us.
It was a good policy, but badly implemented. That's your point.
That's my point. That's always been my point. Or hastily, badly implemented.
It was not timely as far as
it wasn't timely. It didn't take Nigerian citizens into consideration.
And that goes into the foundation of the problems that we're facing right now.
Nothing else. A major cause of our problem. You can't.
But the president said he doesn't regret it.
You could be in power and then get blinded by the authority that you are, the power that you are exercising. But you need to know that power is given to you in trust. That power is given in trust on behalf of the Nigerian people. You need to factor how much is the minimum wage for workers. How much
but it does look like a lot of the Nigerian people are saying that there's a way that that politicians are always hailed when they are doing something good. They'll say mukeso. Go ahead. But it does look like a lot of Nigerians are also, you are not satisfied, but a lot of Nigerians say, Mukeso, Tinubu, Mukeso, because look at the defections that are going into the party. And the party has said, it's because we are performing. It is because they are delivering to Nigerians. That is why the defections are happening. Do you think that if the president was failing, those who are moving into his party would have done that?
It would be a delusional, for the party to think that they are performing. Nigerians are not moving en masse. We just celebrated 2 years presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Where are the people rejoicing? There are no people rejoicing. The thing is about the core rules of whatever thing you want to use to check a parameter to use to check your government is with the people. Because you can't have a voice populi voice there. That means the voice of the people is the voice of God. And if you have elitist movement from one party, governor moving, governor has 1 vote. The governors who are moving lost their state. They couldn't even deliver for their presidential candidate. They couldn't even deliver for themselves, being vice presidential candidate in Delta. So you can't use that. If you look at Akwa Ibom, he has been afraid to move because he knows that he's going to be in danger. Because the people are not rejoicing with his movement. That's why you see every day the Akwa Ibom governor is explaining why he needs to move, why he has to move, why he wants to move, and people should understand with him. So because you know that the reaction of the people towards President Ahmed Bola Ahmed government is that of pain. Is that of disappointment? Is a fact that the president is not getting his policy right? Because what kind of embarrassment is all this? Where have you seen that you need to have project flag off? And when project is completed, you have the commissioning of that project. You can't be commissioning project face by face in order to be able to pretend to want to show progress when none exists. Because what is 30 kilometers compared to 700 kilometers, which is close to about 5% of the project?
So it should have rather be an inspection of project
rather
than
inspection of project. You can't. This is an error. I've never seen it. Even African small countries, even the ones that have been overtaken, by people, you have never seen it. That a president will go and commission a 5% part of a project, of a larger project. That means you don't even believe that you can complete this project. Why did you ever? Well, look, Nigeria has about 46,000 kilometers of federal roads that are not working. Why are we investing in those processes? We have a rail station that would have probably expanded transport system for our people. Today, Nigerians are talking about 266 million for street light by one street light by federal government. It's like the president does not even have the capacity and competence to sit down and look at budget that he's signing. Because with budget revolution, the budget is a mess. And the budget cannot deliver anything good for the Nigerian people. It's a mismatch, a misaligned allocation of resources. So we need a competent hand that can sit on the saddle and read this process.
So listen to what the president has, the information he has for people like you, Chief. He said, quote, I urge you, David, to ignore those critics. They lack understanding. If they find fault with the road or deem it too costly, let them pay a toll to use it. Those are the words of President Bola Tinubu.
For me, since the president came in, I've seen him very insensitive. To be sincere with you, when he goes to Katsina to attend wedding, when people die 2 weeks, and he wasn't there when people died. I wasn't there when the bandits are rushing them. He doesn't go to Mokwa. He sends people. He has not been to Benue. He has not been to Plateau. I see him as very sensitive, and this statement shows a mark of insensitivity because we are Nigerians. This is our money. We have the right to complain, and this complaint is not born out of anything. It's born out of sincere commitment to see Nigeria work. Because you can't tell me that, let them bring the appropriation this bill that was passed into law by the National Assembly. What is the percentage of the money federal government has invested in that road? Everything is treated in secrecy. We're not running a secret court. We're running the federal government of Nigeria. That is, he has a power on our behalf to act on our behalf.
But those who will say this president is working hard to fix Nigeria, and perhaps in the history of Nigeria, I'm not sure there's even a president that has the support of not only his cabinet members, even his family. You could see his wife going from state to state. You could see his son, Sheyi Tinubu, going from one place to the other, following his father abroad, following his, he went to Rome, went to Qatar. He goes all about the place with his father. There is a huge support, domestic support for the president, cabinet support for the president, party support for the president. They are already endorsing the president to give him an automatic ticket for 2027.
You can see a lot of Nigerians are angry with the role the son is playing, holding his father's hand in Rome and dragging him as if he was going to. See, so we need to get government right. Government is about people serving people. When you put yourself forward out of 250 million Nigerians to serve, you are not the most qualified. Yes, you are there with whatever means you are there as president. We respect that, but you must show that you can do this. You know, sometimes they'll come to you and say the price of stable food. In fact, I saw it in the president's statement, and I felt very embarrassed and bewildered that the price of rice is dropping when you are killing local market, opening the border so that people can import rice from China, Thailand, and co. The president must get the policy right. Policy implementation takes time.
But those kind of policies are driven down food inflation, which was a major effect on the headline inflation.
It is a major contributor to the headline inflation that we have, but it is an artificial solution. Artificial solution that has long-time cost effect. Long-time cost effect because local manufacturer, those who are farming rice, are almost going out of business because you can't compete with Thailand, you can't compete with Singapore, you can't compete with Malaysia, you can't compete with India, with their pineapple rice. You can't compete because we're trying to establish a market that is sustainable and then build up a market that can, also export and contribute to our foreign exchange.
Is there anything that this president has done that you see good? Because I mentioned the fact that his family members, in the history of this nation, I'm not sure there is any president that his family member, wife, children, family members, cousins, and all of that, they have their hands on helping the president to deliver. And from what we heard, is that the president says he wants to be the Lee Kuan Yew of Nigeria. How many presidents in this country did you find their sons helping them to achieve their dreams?
As much as we blame Buhari so much, you saw the son. He was contained. The guy was very well mannered. Maintaining that governance was meant for his father to run. See, the cost of putting these people together in government, the son fly with the private, or the son stay in an hotel, the son travel around. The cost is the burden is on the Nigerian taxpayers' money, on our resources. We are looking at how to make sure government is slimmed down, the cost of governance is reduced. We can't be expanding it, within the corridor of power with family members. So the president must sit down with well-trained who knows economy, who knows governance, and then be able to tell him gestation period for policy to start to get results. Because if you don't do that, if he believes that sycophants around him, those who are his appointees, can pre-sing him and sing whatever they want to sing, but the real truth about governance is that you ask the people on the street, Nigerian people in the market, what is the cost of living today?
Do you even see any good out of this government?
No, I've not said that I haven't.
Have they done anything that you think that you can hold on to that is good? Because it does look to me that almost everything you find fault in.
They've given 2 billion to people of Mokwa, to look at the issue. But I think I'm looking at issues from a perspective of what the president has done. I'm not looking at what I hope he should do. I can't think for him. I only can advise that what you are doing, you have steered off the rail. You are not doing it right. This is what you should have done. You can't commission 30 kilometers of road. You can't go about. Look, Lagos, they are talking about. Lagos is contributing about 10% to our population, and with their housing them in Lagos. And Lagos also control 52% of our economy. Lagos has capacity to stand with some African countries and also survive. So why are we not expanding this investment? What's happening to port in the southeast? What's happening to the Delta port? See, look, we are not getting our priority right. We want to expand this country, want this country to work. We can't micromanage it, and we cannot, saturate investment in one location.
But the president said that part of his plan is the revitalization of infrastructure, roads, rail, power, and ports. And look at it. The promise specifically, the president said in 2023. And it's important for when people say things to actually hold them to the president has said he will develop a comprehensive national infrastructure plan, with a focus on roads, bridges, railway, water. The man is focusing, he said he will build a new Nigeria initiative. The man is doing that audacious project, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. But he has said he was going to do something like that.
He's saying so many things, but none of these things are coming to reality. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, there was no geotechnical survey. There was no environmental impact assessment.
The minister said there was.
There wasn't. They should prove it. They should have given us at the time. The journalist questioned him about it. He didn't provide it. This is an afterthought. He didn't provide, because if you want to show government is working, government must be answerable to the people. If a media, which is supposed to be an important part of holding government to account, asks you a question and say you have no EIA, and you say you don't care, and the journalist is sent out of the hall, how do you want me to believe that you now have it? So generally, yes, you want to build infrastructure. You can say it has made that possible. You go to Abia. It's Abias that are telling people that their government is working. It's not the government that is telling people. We are here. We are seeing it. I'm Nigerian. I travel from here to Kogi, for instance.
But if you come to Abuja, don't you see the imprints of this government on every nook and cranny of the Abuja city?
I see
what
they are trying to do in FCT. But my advice in FCT is that FCT is supposed to be one of the, our mega cities, that we should, we don't have pipe-borne water. That's the truth. There's no pipe-borne water in FCT, except the old areas like the areas, the Wuse, and somewhere in the Asokoro. There's no any other community that have pipe-borne water now. So ours is to give advice. I'm not here to tell them whether they should do it or not. It's left for them. So you must do something that impacts directly on the life of the people. Today we're having, how many boreholes? Look at the 11,120 incited budget in the current budget of Renew Hope. Where is the hope?
So in summary, you don't think that this government is deserving of the support of any Nigerians based on their performance in the last 2 years?
If they accept the change, if they continue with the same performance, where the president will use 150 billion, also to buy a private jet for himself, instead of putting it in investment, maybe, education, putting it something that could help the downtrodden there. I accept the change. If they don't change, based on the statistics today, I don't think they deserve a second term.
But who will challenge them? Is there any opposition to challenge them?
Of course, of course. There's Peter Obi now. No, let me tell you something. The president contested with how many governors? There were governor in Abia. There were APC governor in Enugu, in Ebonyi. They lost Husley. There were APC governor in the southwest, in Lagos. He lost. So it's not the whole system of plain politics has died.
Because the analysis of political analysis is that the way and manner that opposition has composed and coordinated themselves, there is no way that is a express way for Tinubu to get a re-election in 2027.
I'm trying to get.
There is no opposition.
Let me give you statistics. No matter how coordinated the opposition is, APC is more in panic mode. That endorsement of the president was all about panicking. You can't tell me you contested with a man who don't have political structure, no entrenchment of power in any way backing him. And in the South, entire South, he scored 44.5%. Tinubu scored 35.5%. When we came to the North, OBC scored a large chunk of the vote with 50.2%. So you can't have a man who has scored 25% in 16 states and 50% in 7 states, and you say that you are good, and these are organic votes. These are not votes that were controlled by money. These are not votes that were controlled by people, oligarchs, or by party entrenched leaders or elected officers who bring out money and say, go and vote for my candidate. No, people, Nigeria decided. So I think the opposition, no matter how uncoordinated they are, if they get the answer right, if they put up their best their best candidate forward, well, later, I'm telling you that APC, we have nowhere to hide. They will not even see the last vote they got, they won't see it in the 2027 election because the performance is bad. There's so much hunger in the street. Look, check the prices of goods. Look at our GDP has fallen from 300 something billion to 188 billion. So we have a problem that we need to be able to sit down and see government that is, interested and committed to making sure that the life of Nigeria has positive effect. And the Nigerian worker, look at us. They're not getting any money. They're opening all sorts of new agencies for 100 billion, putting Yakubu Dura. We can't have favoritism in government. We can't have government that want to just only be able to, put people who are supposed to be their structure in place.
Chief Ameh, we need to close. So in closing, so in assessing this government, so the poor is being failed, the middle being passed, the higher point being good. How would you say this government has performed? High has been 10, low has been 1.
Let's give them 1 as well. Let's give them 1 for now and see what they're doing in the next 2 years.
1 out of 10
yes.
in 2 years.
People are suffering.
They cannot get promoted into the next class.
The price of goods is passed. They can't get promoted.
So this government has failed as far as you're concerned?
As far as many Nigerians are concerned. You can do voice properly. Go to the street, carry microphone and ask Nigerians. It's not me.
President Bola Tinubu, you have heard. That is the assessment of Chief Peter John Ameh, 2019 presidential candidate and the former national chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you for having me.
Although the yacht that you mentioned was budgeted in the 2022 budget, so it wasn't the Tinubu under Tinubu administration.
They would have withdrawn the spending.